The little boy Ansgar from the village of Churaski plays with his friends. In the hut, he is caught by his sister Tusnelda. Their father Segestus interrupts their game. He tells Tusnelda to undo her hair and follow him. The leader of another tribe, Headgun, arrived in Churaski. Tusnelda's parents want to sell her to him for 5 horses. Their marriage would bring an alliance between the tribes. Headgun will marry her in half a month. Then Romans, led by Centurion Metellus, arrive in Churaski. Rome demands tribute from all Germanic tribes, cattle and grain. Metellus gives them 3 days and leaves. Rake Sagamore doesn't know what to do. He decides to assemble a council of rakes, a team. Segestus fears that uniting all the tribes will be impossible, but Sagamore wants to fight the Romans. As expected, the rakes can find an agreement with each other. Tusnelda eavesdrops on their conversation. Roman legions are too strong. The leaders vote against the war. After the team, Tusnelda meets with her secret lover, the swordsman Falkwin, in a dark forest. She tells him that her parents want to marry her off to Headgun. Falkwin offers to run away together, but Tusnelda refuses. In Churaski, people collect tribute for the Romans and give away almost everything they had. But even this is not enough. Metellus tells Sagamore to kiss the golden eagle as a sign of devotion to Rome. Rake refuses, but Segestus decides to do it instead of him. Tusnelda stops her father. The Romans capture the girl. Little Ansgar runs to help his sister. He gets a hard knock on the head. Now the poor boy lost his mind. Although the oracle predicts that Ansgar has some kind of divine destiny. The frightened Sagamore nevertheless kissed the golden eagle. Meanwhile, Arminius arrived at the Roman camp. He is smart, young and bold, as well as an excellent strategist. Guards bring the captive leader of the German tribe, Gernot. He refuses to pay tribute. He is sentenced to death. Unexpectedly, Arminius comes to the defense of Gernot. Unfortunately, the rake is still executed. Tusnelda and Falkwin decide to steal the golden eagle from the Romans. This would show that Rome can be vulnerable. They make a plan: infiltrate the camp, sneak into the tent and steal the golden eagle, set fire to the tent and escape. The plan worked, but at the crime scene, Arminius finds Tusnelda's necklace suspiciously similar to his own. What would that mean? He gathers German mercenaries and intends to return the golden eagle. In Churaski, the people celebrate stealing the golden eagle. But Sagamore is not so happy. He foresees an imminent disaster and bloodshed. Arminius watches him from afar and comes closer. Wait, why does he call Rake Sagamore his father? Time to find out the truth about mysterious necklaces. Many years ago, when Arminius was a child, he was attacked by a wolf in the forest. Fortunately, little Tusnelda and Falkwin rescued him. The children took 3 wolf teeth, made necklaces and swore allegiance to each other. The Romans attacked Churaski. Rake Sagamore is forced to give up his children, Arminius and his younger brother. Varus raised them as a father. Back to our days. Adult Arminius came to Sagamore. He knows that they have a golden eagle. He meets Tusnelda and Falkwin. A friendly meeting quickly turns into a quarrel. Arminius threatens them and demands the return of the golden eagle. It turns out that Segestus works for the Romans. He has always wanted to get the place of the leader of his tribe instead of Sagamore. Segestus reports that Falkwin has stolen the golden eagle. In Churaski, Arminius is attacked by Berolf, whose uncle was executed earlier. Falkwin helps Arminius. But Berolf refuses to come down and begins to break into the house where Arminius argues with Sagamore. The leader distracts Berolf while Arminius escapes. Varus asks Sagamore to hand over Falkwin to them. Tusnelda hurries to warn her lover's family. Unfortunately, it's too late. The entire family, except for Falkwin, is executed. The tribe accuses Segestus of betrayal. Falkwin is heartbroken. Berolf and the rest of the tribe vow to Falkwin to follow him wherever he goes. Arminius returns the golden eagle to the Romans. He asks Varus to send him to serve in another province. He agrees, but gives Arminius the last task: to kill Falkwin and bring his head. Arminius prays to the gods for guidance in his mission. Metellus is going to accompany him by the Varus order. Berolf advises Falkwin to find as many allies as possible. For example, the Broctors, who have always hated the Romans. Their leader asks how Falkwin managed to steal the Golden Eagle. The Bructors let the fugitives stay with them. Meanwhile, Sagamore, with the help of Tusnelda, ensures that the bodies of Falkwin's relatives are buried in a proper way. Arminius arrives in Churaski and searches for Falkwin. Meanwhile, the Bructors agree to fight alongside Falkwin against the Romans. One of the Bructors runs to Arminius and reports that Falkwin is with them. It turns out that the Bructors planned everything in order to hand Falkwin over to the Romans. Their leader was well paid for this. During the struggle, Berolf dies, saving the others. Falkwin manages to escape. Ansgar's parents decide to put their poor son out of his misery. Early in the morning, the mother takes the boy to the edge of the cliff and blindfolds him. Tusnelda arrives in time to save her brother. Hedgun returns for his bride. Segestus doesn't know where his daughter is. In the forest, Tusnelda and Ansgar meet the oracle. She promises to take care of the boy. Falkwin with his squad enters the Darkland. The Romans overtake them. Arminius is ordered to execute a friend, but instead he kills Metellus and the rest of the Romans who followed him. So Arminius betrayed the Romans, but saved the life of his best friend. Tusnelda and Falkwin try to persuade Arminius to stay with them. He refuses. Arminius takes the head of another barbarian instead of Falkwin's, hoping to deceive Varus. Sagamore comes to Varus and begs to reduce the amount of tribute. Varus wants to make Arminius rake of the Churaski, but this is impossible while Sagamore is alive. Arminius returns to Varus with the head of a barbarian. But Varus doesn't intend to fulfill his promise to send Arminius to another service. He wants to make him rake of the Churaski. Knowing the customs, Arminius understands that his father must die. He rushes to save him, but it's too late. Sagamore commits suicide. Falkwin convinces Tusnelda to return to the Bructors. Tusnelda tells them that she is a seer and can speak with the gods. Falkwin kills their leader and Tusnelda sacrifices him to Thor. In Churaski, the people decide who will become their leader instead of Sagamore. Segestus proposes his candidacy and promises the tribe peaceful and well-fed life. The next morning, Hedgun breaks into the village. He needs Tusnelda or he will kill her mother. At this moment, Arminius arrives with the Romans and declares that Churaski is under his protection. He declares himself the new rake. Arminius is looking for Tusnelda and Falkwin. He agrees to fight the Romans. To do this, they need to unite the barbarian tribes into one powerful army. This is almost impossible, because the tribes are at war with each other and hate Arminius. But he has a plan, and the first step is to marry Tusnelda. Falkwin hardly agrees to the marriage of Tusnelda and Arminius. Tusnelda promises her beloved that when everything is over, they will be together again. Arminius asks Falkwin to hide. After all, the Romans believe that he is dead. Arminius and Tusnelda return to Churaski. They tell her parents about their engagement. The leaders of different tribes arrive at the wedding. The army of Arminius is growing thanks to new allies. There is no wedding night, because Tusnelda loves Falkwin. The next day, Thalia shows Arminius Falkwin's necklace. It was found next to a charred corpse in the forest. Is Falkwin dead? Tusnelda is inconsolable. However, Falkwin is alive. He regains consciousness in a cage with Roman slaves. There he meets a girl Raskilda from the Marcoman tribe. Arminius and his wife come to Varus. He is very pleased. He fears that the barbarians will stage an uprising. Varus asks Arminius to bring to him the sons of each of the rakes of the barbarian tribes. On the full moon feast, Tusnelda and Arminius gather all the leaders for a secret meeting. The leaders want to know where their sons are. Arminius accuses them that they gave the children to the Romans without a fight. It turns out that all the children are in Churaski. Arminius had no intention of giving them to Varus. He calls on all the tribes to unite and repel the Romans. The leaders finally agree among themselves. Arminius intends to go to Varus to lure the Romans into the forest. He offers Tusnelda to lead the army herself. They kiss and have sex. Meanwhile, Falkwin asks the merchant to find Tusnelda and give her a message. However, the merchant goes to Segestus and tells about it. With this information, Segestus is able to overthrow Arminius. Arminius comes to Varus and says that the leaders refuse to give up their children. It looks like a real riot. Arminius invites the Romans to gather 3 legions and teach the barbarians a lesson. Varus agrees. The sudden appearance of Segestus interrupts the conversation. He accuses Arminius of lies and betrayal of the Romans. But Varus doesn't believe him. He orders 3 legions to be sent to fight the barbarians. Meanwhile, in the Cheruscan camp, the people are also ready to fight. Rake Rurik reports to Tusnelda that Roman legions are incredibly huge. To inspire her army, Tusnelda sacrifices her eye. The Romans fell into a trap. Fallen trees divide the legions into smaller sectors. Barbarians start the fight. There is real chaos on the battlefield. Arminius takes off his helmet. His face is decorated with barbarian war paint. Hedgan, who refused to fight, meets with Segestus. They decide to kill Arminius. Varus commands legions to move from the forest back to open areas. A fire trap awaits them there. Fire again divides the legions into small parts and the barbarians attack them. Falkwin manages to escape and save Roskilde. Varus sees that Arminius is fighting on the side of the barbarians. He takes the sword and kills himself. Hedgan and Segestus arrive on the battlefield. They see that the Romans are losing. And of course they take the side of the barbarians. The battle is over. The barbarians won. Arminius is heartbroken. Both his fathers are dead. Tusnelda consoles him. She finds out that Falkwin is alive, but decides to stay with Arminius. Falkwin promises to kill his former friend. The oracle tells Tusnelda that she's pregnant. But who's the father of this child?